Assalamu alaikum, you're watching the Scoreboard. I'm Ahmed Nawaz, live from our Islamabad studios of Pakistan TV. Today marks a tragic day in the history of cricket as one of the greatest batters and wicket keepers that Australia produced passed away due to a cricket-related injury on the field. Phillip Hughes tragically lost his life playing a domestic game in Australia when he was struck at the back of his head. And of course, this raised alarm bells throughout the cricketing community. Condolences not only came, hearts were not only broken, but the fact is that this tragedy gave us a new cricket future. We saw new equipment that was introduced. We saw new safety measures that were introduced. New protocols were brought in for any concussions, including substitutes as well. And then the cricketing world saw a major change as well. His death, of course, shocked the cricketing world and it also accelerated discussions of how helmets must be redesigned for further and additional safety for batters as well. And of course, age 25 with such a great future ahead of him, 2014 marked a very, very tragic year, not only in Cricket Australia, but throughout the world as well. We'll be discussing all about this and how it changed the cricketing world as we know it. Then we move on to the Milano Cortina 2026, where it has been something that we didn't expect, because due to severe weather, the Olympic flame lighting was forced to be scaled down in Greece in a ceremony with limited attendance for safety after the ignition performers carried out a symbolic run and Greek and Italian athletes began the joint torch relay ahead of the 2026 Winter Games. You can see these visuals on your screens right now as well, and that just tells you how cold it was. But then again, the game must go on. Then of course we move on to Syeda Nassar, who has made her debut in Pakistan in boxing, absolutely superb. And the fact is that she becomes the first female boxer to compete professionally wearing a hijab, defeating Thailand's Kankowan Verunpat via unanimous decision in the 6th-round fight. Debut was widely praised for both performance and representation, as she was denied boxing matches just because of the fact that she chose to wear a hijab as well. Then we move on and we discuss Formula One's design icon. Adrian Newey now has been appointed as the visionary team principal for Aston Martin starting in the year 2026. He will guide technical strategy and trackside operations, replacing outgoing engineer, leader and veteran Andy Cowell, who's been at Aston Martin for quite some time now. But I think with Newey joining in, Aston Martin is looking at a very, very exciting future ahead as well. Then we move on and we discuss the Professional Women's Hockey League that has announced a rapid expansion as well, confirming Seattle and Vancouver for the 25-26 season and evaluating 11 more markets as fan interest and media value surge as well. Now, this is the second sport in the United States and elsewhere, including Canada as well. If you talk about United States and Canada combined, this is the second major sports which will now target rapid team expansions. The first one was, of course, the soccer league as well. So I think this is humongous, the amount of money being poured in. And you remember the latest 17th team that was sold in the United States Professional Soccer League for women was close to $10 million. So I mean, that just gives us an outlook of how much money is being poured in. Then we talk about Amy Baqer, who was disqualified from the world's strongest women competition over eligibility rules as well. The runner-up Thompson was awarded the title, prompting debate as officials stressed adherence to established regulations as well. A bit of controversial, I think something that has to be discussed in detail, but then again I think the decision was spot on. Even if you look at some of the highlights as well, the adjudicators were very strict in implementing the decision. And then of course we move on to the Tri-Nation, where Pakistan is all set to face Sri Lanka tonight in a very, very important game, considering the fact that this game will have all eyes on it. If Sri Lanka manage to beat Pakistan convincingly, then Zimbabwe's chances are going to be very, very slim as well. And then of course we move on to football and we talk about Liverpool, who are once again under scrutiny as they suffered their third consecutive defeat, and a lot of former Liverpool greats, including Steven Gerrard, have now been very vocal, and looks like that slot is going to go. I think it's as simple as that. We might expect a sacking very soon as well, but the fact is that defensive errors have once again proved very, very costly, including their counter-attacks that have been capitalized, and Liverpool's qualification hopes are now under pressure. Arne Slot, I think it's as simple as that. The fans want him to go, but then again this debate will continue as well. That's what we're discussing on the show. For all the details, joining us in studios is expert and of course our sports anchor Natalia Baqer. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Welcome
assalam,
to the
Ahmed.
Scoreboard.
Thank you
How
very
are
much
you?
for having me. I'm absolutely fine. How are you?
I'm very well. I love the energy. I hope it stays the same throughout the show. But we're going to be coming back to Natalia. We've got to talk about Phil Hughes first. And we've got something very interesting for you. Let's take a look.
In 2014, the cricket world lost a bright young talent, Phillip Hughes. The 25-year-old Australian batsman died 2 days after being hit by a bouncer during a Sheffield Shield match at the Sydney Cricket Ground. The ball struck below his helmet while he was trying to play a hook shot, causing a fatal injury. Hughes was batting on 63 for South Australia when the incident happened, and even after emergency surgery, he didn't survive. Phillip Hughes had already shown great promise. He made his Test debut at the age of 20, and after a first innings duck, he scored 75 in the second innings. In his next Test, he scored twin centuries of 115 and 160 runs. In his career, he played 26 Tests and scored 1,535 runs with 3 centuries and 7 half centuries. He played 25 one-day internationals and scored 826 runs, including 200s. He also played 1 T20 international. In List A cricket, he scored over 3,600 runs at an average of 47. His death shocked the cricket world and brought big changes to the game. Helmets were improved to give better protection for the head and neck. Medical checks on the field became stricter and emergency procedures were made faster and safer. Phillip Hughes is remembered not only for the runs he scored and his talent, but also for making cricket safer for everyone.
Well, there you have it, all the details that you need to know about Phil Hughes in this report. The fact is, let's just take a look at what changed. Immediately, we had concussion protocols that were introduced in cricket. And that meant that every time a batter got hit on the head by a throw or by a delivery ball by the bowler, or by any means necessary, he got hit on the head, concussion protocol was implemented. What does concussion protocol means is very important. What it means is once a batter gets hit on the head, then the physio or the medical officer from the team immediately needs to come to the field. Play is halted and it's stopped at that instance. And then, of course, the doctor will come or the medical officer or the physio will come and examine the player's helmet, first of all, whether there's any damage to the equipment. And then he will ask him a couple of questions to determine whether he is conscious and in full sanity or not as well. Those questions might include what's your name, what did you have for lunch, if you had any. And then, things go beyond that. And then what changed as far as the equipment was concerned, we saw additional safety gear, which was put on the helmet exactly at the back of your head, the upper part of your neck, if you'd like to say. It's where the cerebellum and the cerebella are located, 2 parts of the brain. One part which controls the vision and the balance and the movement, and one part which controls the speech and involuntary and voluntary actions of the body as well. So those parts were protected now, and helmets had to be worn with that safety equipment. So I think that's the immediate change. But to be honest, as a cricketer, as someone who loves the game, I can tell you that this day in 2014 was really an emotional and darkest day for many young cricketers as well, who were seeing those visuals of his funeral, his family, his teammates, the way Australian captain at that time, Michael Clarke, broke down in tears. I think it was just a very, very tough day for all of us throughout the world. But Phillip Hughes' memory lives on, and what a fine cricketer he was, and what a career he had in front of him. But that is what it was. Now, of course, we're going to come to football. Liverpool have been under all sorts of pressure and criticism. Discussing this further, Natalia is with us in studios. I mean, first of all, what is happening? The fans are now really, really furious. They're demanding a lot of immediate changes.
I think that Liverpool now requires a lot of changes, and that is because that if we see the past 12 games they have been playing, 9 have they lost, which means that there is a consistent problem with the team and the players, and also that you have already mentioned about Slot, that he has to go now, because we see very inconsistent inconsistent pattern of play that they are doing, and that's not the play Liverpool was supposed to play. 4-0 is a big number.
But you think, why people are furious at Slot? It's very interesting. So the first match when he loses and there's criticism, he says that my players were exhausted. Okay, it's not supposed to happen. You've had probably the second highest spending in the Premier League. So you can't just say that my players were exhausted. You had a bench strength. Second time he loses, he gives another lame excuse as well. I don't think fans will take these excuses.
I think that Liverpool now does depend on some of the key players of the team, and there should be a shuffle in the team now. There should new players who might be included in the team for the next time, because now they only depend on some of the key player names.
Like Salah as well,
yes.
and Van Dijk.
And when they do not perform, the team actually loses.
But there's a statement that came out from a former Liverpool star who said, unless the manager can find answers and stability in the team, it's going to continue. It's as simple as that.
Because the lame excuses you have already mentioned are not the solution to the team's devastation which is happening right now. For that, there need to be practical measures that should be taken, and a manager change can be a practical measure that Liverpool can now take, because there's a lot of inconsistency we can see with the team. We can see that there are midfield gaps. We can see that players are not playing the way Liverpool was supposed to and expected to be played, So there's a huge change that needs to be done.
Well, absolutely. You talked about the players that need to change, and you also talked about the manager's fate as well. Next, they're going to West Ham United, and in probably the first or second week of January, they're playing Arsenal. So the fact is, if they lose to West Ham, I think they're done and dusted. But Arsenal right now, top team in the Premier League. So that is another game they have to worry about. So the fact is, the road ahead is not easy. And like you mentioned, let's suppose if this horrible form continues, then do you think it's absolutely justified for the fans to demand answers?
Yes, it is absolutely justified for the fans to demand answers, as we see that sport is because of fans, and they can see, all of us can see that they're not performing well, and there are things that can be changed, and the performance can be changed, can be improved, but it is not happening. So the excuses coming from the player side, from the manager side, from the team side itself are very lame, and they can be improved. There is a chance of improvement if that happens.
What's your message to all Liverpool fans? Do you want them to have patience, or do you want them to go berserk at the moment?
I think patience can be one thing. I can just tell them to be patient, because there are phases of teams. There could be little change made, and Liverpool might come back to track.
No, trick question now. When was the last time you saw a football fan having patience?
Not nearby.
So it's not going to happen as well. So I think Natalia's analysis is pretty clear. Fans must have patience, but the manager's got to go. I think that's the case. But I think it's you got to feel for Liverpool fans. Like I said, they've had the second highest spending in the Premier League. They had every right to pick the players that they wanted. You can't just lose games and go on and just keep giving lame excuses, as Natalia said. The fans are going to demand results, and I think if you're not able to deliver, then it's really going to trouble you in the longer run as well. But then again, I think we move on to some more interesting things as well. We will be talking about boxing headline that has made a global outreach at the moment as well. And we of course talk about Zaina Nassar, who's made a fantastic winning debut against her Thailand opponent Kankuan Virnupat in this boxing match that was held in Lahore. This international boxing festival continues. But Natalia, she's been denied boxing matches just because she chose to wear a hijab, which was part of her culture and religion. But this time she makes her international debut wearing the same hijab and goes on to win her very first match as well, and that too based on unanimous decision. How symbolic has this been?
Firstly, I'm so happy to finally see a woman, coming to limelight, and seeing a woman act as a boxer, because it's a very male-dominant sport. When you talk about boxing, there are not enough names. I think there are no names from Pakistan when it comes to a female boxer. So, firstly, I'm really happy, and I'm very excited about this one woman, coming forward in such a sport. And then the stance she took, and all of us know that when it comes to Asian culture, when it comes to Islamic norms, there are limitations our players have to go through. There are limitations, and there's this phenomena of Islamophobia as well. So she was denied a lot of games, and that was the reason that that made her more stronger. The decision to keep her hijab and keep her identity and represent her country, her religious norms, her culture. That's, I guess, the strongest part of the whole conversation. I'm really happy to see a player like her to come in forward.
Well, how would you say it sends out a very strong message to the world community? Let's be honest, there are certain segments of society that have accepted hijab as part of a culture, and even for athletes it has been allowed on a large scale. But there are still some societies that are probably treating it, you know, in forms of racism, even in 2025.
Yeah, of course, and you have mentioned it absolutely correct that she is now a symbol of, you know, symbol of representation of how a sports person, a sportsman needs to be represented. Represented. There should be, you know, independence. There should be that way where a sport person can represent themselves the way they want to. And coming back to Zena, this woman, she is actually, you know, she has just made a very symbolic decision. This one is going to represent. It is also going to give a lot of motivation to new women, new players, new girls who are actually considering boxing. But when it comes to Asian cultures, we see that there are some sports, there are some things that women are not considered, or not. They have their own limitations when it comes to sports. So this one woman, she has set an example where, you know, young women, young girls can look up to, and, you know, just give an example that if she can, why can't we?
But sports journalists today wrote a beautiful headline. They said this is a milestone for culturally inclusive combat sports. So like you said, in the world of boxing now, which will be known as an inclusive sport.
Yes. Yes, and again, it's a very male-dominant sport. We see very less women in boxing, especially from Pakistan. There absolutely no names.
You keep saying that, and, you know, I tend to always take a step back. You know, you never know, a jab might just come out of nowhere as well. But let's be honest, boxing federations in the past had imposed restriction and ban on women for wearing hijab as well. Now, because, you know, it has happened on the international scale, do you think that these decisions, even in local federations around the world, need to be reverted?
I think they need to be reverted, and step by step by players individually coming forward and, you know, telling that we should be represented the way we want to, and taking stand for their, you know, their choices is actually the first step, which will, you know, eventually go towards federations and institutions to, you know, think on that hijab is, it's not a, you know, it's just a personal choice of the players. It has nothing to do with the sport.
And it's like anything, you know, you might be wearing your favorite color, you might be wearing your favorite, you know,
t-shirt or anything, favorite pajama, anything, or favorite pair of shoes, maybe, headband maybe, a watch maybe. So it's just a piece of culture, piece of religion, which that woman is particularly carrying. It has nothing to do with the sport itself.
And to be honest, we've already seen it in football, we've seen it in cricket. Where
swimming, I guess.
Yes, the acceptance is there globally.
Yes.
I mean, boxing is something that was probably missing out, but globally the sport impact is there.
But acceptance, always, when we always talk about Asian norms and Islam specifically, we have seen restrictions and limitations coming forward from the international side, and then the players have to take a stand, they have to talk about it, then there's, you know, a little bit of that effort they need to put, and then we see that you know, they give that acceptance to it. That should have been accepted already. There is no need to make effort for it. There is no need for players to, you know, come and tell that we have been denied of, you know, matches, we have been denied of participating in certain competitions because we wear a certain piece of cloth.
What's your message now to the boxing community, especially because you keep on mentioning it's a male-dominant, you know, and I feel embarrassed because I think we should be working more towards the inclusivity of women.
I think the international boxing championship is happening. Is a big forum, is a big place where this shall now grow.
But young girls out there who want to take up boxing, what message would you like to give to them?
I think they should look up to this young woman. They should look up to the examples happening in the world. There are female boxers around the world. There are other big players around the world who have broken stereotypes, who have come forward, and they're playing the way they want to. So she's the biggest motivation right now for a lot of young girls when it comes to boxing. She was brilliant with her match. She's brilliant in her sport. She's talented, and I think she's a prime example right now for young girls to look up and come forward and, you know, participate in this game.
Well, absolutely. Thank you very much, Natalia, for joining us on the scoreboard, and I'm sure that this message is going to go loud and clear to all the young girls as well. And the next time you come, so you're probably going to be satisfied that it's not a male-dominant sport anymore. But thank you very much for joining us.
You're very
welcome. That was Natalia Baqer, our sports anchor and also expert on the scoreboard, of course, with her analysis. We give you latest news now in the Tri-Series match between Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Pakistan has won the toss and they've opted to bowl first. Now this is a very interesting decision considering the fact that this is a very, very important game as well. And so far in the previous 3 matches, we've seen sides winning the toss have opted to bat first. So I think that is interesting why Pakistan have gone with this decision. But this now means that Sri Lanka must score close to 200 runs and try to get Pakistan out under 100. That's the only way they'll be able to qualify as well. So I think the timely form of Pathum Nissanka is something that they'll be banking on once again. But I think overall Pakistan will be eyeing a victory over here as well. I was talking to some experts as well who rightly mentioned, who said that Pakistan shouldn't play any sort of change side. They should be going with their full strength and they should try to win this game because you don't want to break the momentum going into the final of the Tri-Series and then subsequently the T20 World Cup next year as well. Discussing this further, joining us is sports expert Syed Owais. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You're wearing blue for Sri Lanka?
Nah, man. I don't want to be wrong again.
Well, but Pakistan have won the toss. They've opted to bowl first. Now, this is interesting because the last 2 games, whichever side has won, they wanted to bat first.
I guess Pakistan just wants to try something different over here. On a lighter note, we were discussing on that it will be important that Pakistan does go with a change or not, or would they go with that winning combination, because obviously you want to win it on the high note. But looking at the squad right now, what Pakistan has on, the biggest problem, what again we feel, is it's in the middle order. I know Baqer Azam did score 70 odd runs against Zimbabwe, but looking at the track record of scoring big against some bigger teams, we need to realize one thing. Baqer Azam, the natural flow what he has from the under-19 circuit till now, let it be. I mean, don't change it. I mean, it seemed in the previous matches that he's trying some extraordinary. Secondly, with Salman Ali Agha, it's going to be a test of nerves again because he's a captain. I feel some last matches for him to get back onto the track, score some runs for Pakistan.
But let me tell you what the trick over here is. Even if he doesn't perform and he wins the Tri-Series, we're stuck now. He's a captain who's won 2 back-to-back series for T20s.
I mean, many things going on, man. I mean, I still don't understand that will he be the captain of Pakistan or not. But for me, still you have got around 70, 75 days for the T20 World Cup coming up. If you don't want him as a captain, be straightforward with him. I mean, talk to him, just remove him off. I mean, because if you do it less than 15 days left for the World Cup or less than 25 days left for the World Cup, that's going to change whole momentum of the team. I mean, for me, anyone coming as a captain right now for the Pakistan team, we need to understand one thing, that he does not have a magic stick that he's going to be changing Pakistan team in 1 or 2 series. I mean, it would definitely take him time over here. One thing is good, that all the departments are working, they're performing well, your batting has been clicking up well. I know still question marks on the rotational policy, the rotate the strike I'm talking about. Wicket-keeper batsman, who's going to be a second command wicket-keeper for you? Usman is doing a brilliant job, but when it comes to strong teams like Australia, when it comes to strong teams like against say India, he's definitely going to be tested at that position where he's playing right now.
For Sri Lanka, I think it's a win-win situation right now. Pathum Nissanka has found form at a very dangerous moment for them, where their team was completely down and out, and him scoring 90 plus runs in an important game means that they are serious about this World Cup.
I mean, the match what they played against Zimbabwe on that day, I mean, that was a totally different side. It was a good sign that you had 1 or 2 changes for the Sri Lanka team, but having Nissanka performing at that stage, where they wanted that win, big win, I mean, big margin win. The bowlers had the plan, they stuck around with it, bowling wicket to wicket. I mean, if you talk about Chamira, he was brilliant on that day. So Sri Lanka still, I feel that they have got that hunger what they need to win the Tri-Nation series, or to give a tough time to Pakistan in the finals. Even because if you just listen to the Zimbabwean head coach, I mean, he said everything is in the Pakistan pocket. I mean, how do they perform against Sri Lanka? But you at least need around 200, 230, I guess, margin.
But we talked about the fact that the Pakistani fans actually want to see Zimbabwe in the final. I don't know why.
I mean, I know it's on a lighter note, but we need to understand Zimbabwe has played some brilliant cricket. I mean, the way they have played against Pakistan.
The teams are here. If you allow me, I'll just read out the teams. So the teams have been announced now. Pakistan going with Sai Mayoob, Sahibzada, Farhan, Baqer Azam at 3. Salman Ali Agha at 4, Usman Khan at 5, Fakhr Zaman 6, Nawaz 7, Fahim Ashraf 8, Mohammad Wasim at 9, Salman Mirza at 10, and Abrar Ahmed at 11. So one change Pakistan makes, so that is that Naseem Shah has been rested once again. If we talk about Sri Lanka as well, let's take a look at Sri Lanka's side that has been announced. So Pathum Nissanka up there alongside Misara, who's also there. Then of course you move on to Kusal Mendes, Kusal Pereira, Leonage, Dasun Shanaka in there as well. Ratanaike comes in, Wahindu Hasaranga, Chamera, Tishkana, and then of course see Malinga, who also joins the side as well, Ishan Malinga as well. So people did think that we might see Hassan Nawaz today. That doesn't happen for Pakistan, but I think they're going with the strength. This is probably a traditional playing 11. Obviously, we don't have our two pacers, Naseem and Shaheen Shah Afridi. Afridi still obviously recovering quickly as well due to that strain that he had. So pretty decent side, I think, still for Pakistan.
I feel, I mean, you might agree with me that this is almost a side which would be in your World Cup plans. What I feel, I mean, might be some 1 or 2 changes. You know what I'm talking about. But but when you talk about the Sri Lanka side, that's the Sri Lanka strong side. I mean, because they have got that a good bowling unit. When you talk about Chamira with the other pace battery, they have got that spin bowling option. Unfortunately, the spinners have not been that effective what Sri Lanka's spinners have been. I mean, Hasranga, one of the best spinners in the world, but he has not been able to dominate. The biggest issue for them still, I feel, is that your middle order. Shanaka as a captain, I believe him, is a very strong captain, better than Aslanka, but he has got some bad patches in this Tri-Nation series, I would say. Before this, remember his track record says he's never lost a series in Sri Lanka as a T20 captain. Batting order, Kusal Mendes, again, he needs to realize he's a senior player. He needs to not play that rash shot. He needs to stick around there.
One thing that I think might Sri Lanka think about is something. Well, we've got the skipper, there as well. We just talked about Dasun Shanaka as well. So I think he was very clear, when he was talking during the toss as well about what kind of cricket they want to play. But one thing which I feel, Owais, is that with Pathum Nissanka, they've got Kamil Mishara who's opening. I believe traditionally that I've seen Sri Lanka, Kusal Perera has been an explosive opener for Sri Lanka. Because of these new generation players coming in, he was pushed into the middle order. Maybe if they can push him up the order to open again, that might just make the difference for them. I
mean, the track record, what says, I mean, when you just talk about his, even the league cricket, he's opened, I mean, whole innings, I would say, whole life, I mean, even the school cricket, he's open, I mean. The issue is that Sri Lanka does not have a sustainable middle order. Why was he put in it? Because at least he can just bring that seniority in the middle order. That's why I say many of them don't agree with me. Sama Vikrama, ODI cricketer, is a brilliant middle order batsman even for the T20s. Why? You need someone in the middle order who can basically grind that innings or build the innings for you in a single, rotating the strike. I mean, that's the weakest point what you're missing right now, because they have tried a lot of players in that position, but they haven't been working for them. And Aslanka was not that perfectly working for them in the T20 Asia Cup. So that's the point where they need to work on. Whereas you talk about the opening department, Nissanka has been a backbone for them. The other pair, I remember, because when you talk about aggressive approach, obviously both the pairs, they need to manage the run rate, they need to fluctuate that run rate. They have not been able to do that. Even in the last match, Nissanka was your prior player who basically built up that momentum for Sri Lanka, what they wanted. So I don't know what top order do they send. They try to send in Kusal Mendes because he can be explosive. You rightly pointed.
Because I think in Sri Lanka, especially when the T20 World Cup happens, because Pakistan and Sri Lanka both are majority playing in those conditions. So I think the fact is going to remain that power play scores will be revised. I don't think we're going to see those 70s and 80s. We might see 50s, 60s, and with a couple of wickets down.
I feel, Ahmed, when the tournament starts on, might be like 140, 160, 160, I would say, average total. But as the time passes on, it's going to be 180, 190, even 200. Why? Because you get used to that kind of wickets. Pakistan can have the best example from the Women's World Cup, because which was being played over there. Paces were getting a little bit nip, if you remember, because that was not a traditional what Sri Lanka wickets are. They mainly do build up a strong spinning track, but the year and specifically the month what they're playing right now, that would not be that excessive summer. I know it's a tropical condition over there, so you'll definitely have little bit support for the fast bowlers.
They're very tropical. At least whenever we go anywhere, it becomes very tropical.
It happens opposite. That's the biggest issue for us. But for me, again,
although I've not checked the weather, but in the Women's World Cup, we really suffered because a lot of games were washed out.
If I just divert some of the topic, because I was just going through Sri Lanka map today, there's a flood warning today, a severe flood warning. So I don't think so in February the weather would be that kind of a situation. But for me, it's the right time. Again, I'm talking about after the Tri-Nation series, you have some T20 matches, get your plan fixed. What's your bench lineup? For me, your bench lineup is the most important position, because if you have a strong bench lineup, automatically your playing 11 is strong, because everyone knows we have a placement sitting back. Salman Mirza, the best example. Shaheen, everyone knows that he's a strike fast bowler, but it was good to see that if he's rested, you have got a bowler who can basically get that wickets for you. Daniel would be a key point if Pakistan gets him into the squad. I'm not saying they're playing 11, but at least in that circle. I know
I
he's
think
not
him as
played.
an all-rounder then becomes a direct conflict with the likes of Fahim Ashraf.
Not with Fahim, I would say, because I know many of them, he's a senior campaigner. Haris Rauf, obviously, he's played a lot of matches, experienced. But when you talk about Haris, I mean, the things what happened in the T20, he has been struggling. I mean, in the patches, I would say he's been
Haris
performing.
product of Lahore Qalandars, Ahmed Danial product of Lahore Qalandars.
That's
Although Ahmed Danial last season played for Peshawar Zalmi.
So that's Lahore. But for me, because I don't say that he should be in the playing 11, but at least in your plans. Why? Because the biggest thing what I saw on him was that the fight what he showed in that, I mean, you know, it's a crunch situation going on. And many of the bowlers, let's be frank, I mean, they basically run from that condition. We used to run from that condition, that everything does not come to our mind. But the guy standing there, getting the ball to ball, no, I want to ball that ball, because when you're bowling 4 overs, obviously you're sweating in that situation. Getting the 5th over again to ball on, that shows how strong nerves he had. I mean.
But it really depends on how you approach this as well. A lot of people have still hinted that Pakistan and Sri Lanka even have the option of opening the bowling with the likes of Mohammad Nawaz. Or Syed Ayub for that.
Nawaz can be brilliant. I mean, not. I don't think so, Syed Ayub, because he's good with an old ball. When the ball just goes old on, Nawaz can be a utility cricketer for you. But Nawaz, I remember everyone spoke about him that he's dead and dusted. I mean, he won't be back in the Pakistan team. But the way that guy has worked psychologically strong, he's one of the most strong player right now for Pakistan. I would say psychologically, mentally, whatever situation is, he's there for a license of kill. Even with Fakhar Zaman, I would say the way he has been fluctuating on, he batted on that day at number 6, if I'm not wrong, against that match against Zimbabwe. Did not seem that he's confused in this position. What natural instinct did, he has been playing
well,
with.
Well, definitely. I'm hoping for a Pakistan victory, and so is Owais as well, and a Pakistan-Zimbabwe final. That means that we're looking forward to. But a very important announcement has to be made. It's been terrific for the platform of Pakistan television when you talk about PTV Sports, that has now secured rights of all ICC international events for the next corresponding years as well. And this is a monumental moment. Syed Mohammad Owais, also part of the PTV family and PTV Sports in general. How big is this over development?
It's one of the biggest developments, because I mean, if you remember, on a lighter note, whenever me, Ahmed, Sana, we all do shows even over here on the other platforms, everyone says match ka aayega on PTV Sports. So it's a very, I would say, important stuff, and congratulations to the guys who are basically working back doors.
And let's just highlight it for our viewers as well. Till, you know, these broadcast and digital rights till the year 2027. So broadcast and digital both. ICC Men's T20 World Cup, which is just upcoming, World Test Championship final in England. ICC Men's World Cup 2027, and both the 27 final as well. Under 19 World Cup for next year. Under 19 Men's Cricket World Cup 2028. Women's event include the T20 World Cup 2026 in England, Women's T20 Champions Trophy 2027 in Sri Lanka, and the Under 19 Women's World Cup in 2027.
Like I said, Ahmed bhai, I mean, I want to congratulate first of all the guys who have been working back doors. I mean, obviously we are the front ones. I mean, you guys see us on the cameras, but it's a whole hard work team which sits back. I mean, getting the live telecast on the television, getting your match wherever it is played across the globe. It's just not cricket. Whatever sports, I mean, you have, it's live telecast on PTV Sports, and that shows how PTV Sports has been one of the vital roles to get sports for development back onto the track. Because whenever a match is shown on TV, that's where you get the youngsters to basically build the platform.
Certainly.
And PTV has been
Absolutely. Once again, from the scoreboard, we'd like to, extend our congratulations and felicitations to the entire team of PTV Sports, especially, I think, the higher management who's just, led this brilliantly for the year 2027. Owais, before I wrap up the show, I just want your message to youngsters who are playing cricket on the importance of wearing a helmet for batters.
It's important. I mean, I know because we have played cricket. Ahmed does play cricket even still. On a lighter note, whenever we go for practice, I mean, many of the guys, they say that you guys have been a professional cricketer. Why do you need a helmet when a small guy is basically knocking a ball for you? It's important. Believe me, I've gone through that. I've got some stitches on my chin as well. I mean, helmet is important. The biggest examples, it's not about Phillip Hughes. Even remember, Ahmed, recently a young cricketer from Australia, I guess he was here, who got hit by the bowling machine. That's what important it is. I mean, because
and it's very common these days on spinners, you remove a helmet and you go start.
Just not on the spinners. I mean, with due respect, the guys who have played first class cricket, grade 2, or they have played nationally, even they are retired, I mean, when they go to play in village cricket, they basically remove the helmets. I mean, they just want to face, they say that yes, we are international products and you guys are nothing. So that's the point where I say they basically misjudge the ball, and that
Absolutely.
gets on a bad hit for you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Owais, for joining us. And I think once again the message is loud and clear to all you young cricketers, especially the parents, moms and dads. Please make sure that your youngsters are wearing a helmet every time they're going for practice or they're playing a game as well. There is no cricket without a helmet. Life really is more precious than trying to make probably a statement. That being said, before we go, a dramatic and unexpected turn has taken place in the competition of World's Strongest Woman. A shocking turn when leading contender Amy Baqer was disqualified during the final stage of the competition, immediately sparking confusion, criticism and a heated debate across strength sports circles. At the center of the storm was competitor Thompson, who was widely believed to have delivered a performance worthy of the title, but was not initially crowned the winner due to participation of a transgender competitor later deemed ineligible. This sequence of events created one of the most chaotic finales in strength sports history, and I think this controversy is going to continue and won't die down this easily as well. Well, there you have it. That's it from this edition of The Scoreboard. From me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.